Hi everybody, my name is Ramki and this is my charming wife Lata. We are sitting here relaxed at Ashiana Shubham, enjoying the serene surroundings. We made a number of very good decisions in our life, but one of the most important and best decisions we have made is to shift to Ashiana Shubham.
Well, because it is specially for the senior citizens, it is very exceedingly meticulously, highly professionally planned design.
A lot of facilities are there in Ashiana. There is sports, there is swimming, there is tennis, so host of activities. So we said that makes us active in our in our life after retirement as well.
I'm also very conscious about my health, and of course also the healthy food that we are getting at the cafe here.
Come enjoy the beauty of Ashiana Shubham.
We need to also enjoy life as we become senior. If you do it earlier in life, say in the 45 to 50 age bracket, then you don't have the pressure, you have a good investment. Sooner we invest, I think better we enjoy, better we understand life.
If we want to live a peaceful life, happy life, I'll tell you, all of you look for a senior citizen home.
Welcome, everybody. I think we are ready to go live with our webinar. Welcome to today's edition brought to you by The Hindu and by Ashiana Housing. My name is Vaishna Roy and I work for The Hindu. Today, what we're going to do is that we're going to try and track a rather interesting trend that has been noticed over the last few months. As the lockdown was announced and it has continued, we have seemingly seen a spurt in demand in the senior demand in for senior living for the senior living segment of the real estate market. It is interesting to know why this demand has happened, what it indicates for the future, and to try and track some of these things and to try and track some of the sort of tangential things that feed into this. We have with us today a very distinguished panel. Let me introduce them to you briefly. I will start with Ankur Gupta, who is the Joint Managing Director of Ashiana Housing Limited. He is also the Chairman of the Association of Senior Living India. Welcome, Ankur. Very pleased to have you with us.
Nice to be here.
We also have with us a very interesting gentleman. His name is Dr. Gautam Das. He's a geriatric neuropsychiatrist. Basically, this means that he deals with the sort of cognitive dysfunctions that take place in the human brain with age. Often these age-related problems, for instance, age-related dementia, are the most difficult challenges facing senior citizens. And I hope Dr. Gautam will be able to shed some light, not just on how these things play out in an individual way, but also in what ways senior living spaces look at these issues in the ways in which it develops. So welcome, Doctor. Welcome on board.
Thank you. Looking forward to this talk.
I'm very happy to have on board with us Harish Nair. Hi, Harish. He is the executive director of the India wing of the real estate consultancy CBRE. It's a global firm. He heads consulting for them here. Welcome, Harish.
Thanks, Vaishna. Happy to be here.
Thanks. And finally, delighted to have with us Prashant Thakur. He is one of the directors of Anarock Property Consultants, and he heads their research division. Welcome, Prashant.
Thank you, Vaishnavi. Thanks for having me.
I look forward to a very interesting discussion with all of you, bringing in your inputs to bear on the topic. Now that I've given a sort of a very a small sort of teaser into what you can look forward to from the webinar, let me instantly start with a question that I would like to address to Ankur first, if I may, Ankur.
Yes,
lot of participants for the webinar, everybody looking forward to see what it is about senior living that one must be aware of today. But Ankur, my first question to you really is that, is there a spurt that you've seen in the demand for senior living? Can you put a number to it? What do you think has led to it? Is it a sustained spurt that you are looking at? Some of these issues, please.
Okay, so we've been seeing a spurt in the last couple of years, actually. So we've already seen an increase over the last 2 years in senior living demand because people are looking for a lot more services. They're looking for a higher quality of life, and we were seeing a lot of demand. And when COVID came, it actually exponentially grew the market. A lot of seniors found themselves in homes without any service. They could not get food. They could not get maids to clean their houses. They were feeling really, really lonely, alone. I know a few deaths which has happened where they could not get medical help in time because of the COVID situation. There was nobody around to help. And that has spurred demand both from the senior citizen side who has dealt with this problem, and children who are living not with their parents and living somewhere else. They also started getting very concerned about their parents and started calling us for that particular reason. To give you an idea, we do regular housing, kid-centric homes and senior living. And our senior living percentage of sales to our total portfolio was 11% in the month of November. In the month of May, we had 33% of our portfolio was senior living. So there is really, we were seeing a huge demand, a huge need. And then, we saw our seniors, they were very happy, and the kind of compliments we got from our customers who were staying in senior living was very heartening to us.
Ankur, just you said that May it had grown to 33% of your portfolio. Is there some sort of breakup you have from between demand from kids who are NRIs and who want to look after their parents alone here, vis-a-vis people, children here in India who are looking for senior homes for their parents?
Okay, so I have another data point. That data point is, so we've been tracking some numbers, not all of them. It's very difficult to track a lot of them. So I was just checking with my sales guys. So generally, if there were 20 visits happening, in 20 visits, only 2 were visits where the kids would be accompanying the senior. Now we're doing a lot more virtual site visits. That's one reason, but out of the 20 now, it's become 12 visits. There are children involved. That's a huge jump of children coming into our site visits and being concerned about their parents, and it's an interesting trend to see.
Yes, it's interesting. I think it's also sort of showing us that the way we are approaching housing itself is probably undergoing some kind of change. Harish, if I might bring you in at this point, India's population is not exactly an aging population, it's a young population. All of us talk about, that's the demographic dividend that we're always talking about. So given this, do you share Ankur's optimism that this is a sustained sort of spurt and that this is going to be, getting better or higher, demand's going to get higher as we go down?
Right. So Vaishna, let me start by saying you're absolutely right. the dividend of young population is increasing. In fact, more than 50% is below 25, and that's what we keep talking about in all the world stages. But let's not forget about the other percentage of people, either below or above, who we also need to target. And within that segment, lies the 55 plus or 60 plus category of people who is actually an ideal target for this segment. Now, obviously, historically looking at this segment, there's been a lot of stigma with senior living, and that's really one of the reasons why the growth was fairly slow. Because in the Indian context, you had, if you didn't stay with your family or with your children, then you were considered, or rather, they were considered as something extreme, which they were adopting because they didn't want their parents to live with them. That mindset is something which we are seeing, and that's a huge positive as far as the sector is concerned. And there are 2-3 reasons, right? One is, of course, from a supply perspective. You had the likes of Ashiana, who were the first movers in this segment, and now you have a huge number of other players who are also active in this segment. People who've been providing different kinds of facilities, different kinds of services, which will meet or match the needs of the varied populace. And that's also been really helpful as far as getting traction in the segment is concerned. The other aspect is, if you look at the numbers, right, in India, we're talking about roughly 10,000.
I think he's.
Yeah, I can't hear him.
Select was at about 104 million, which was population above 60.
Harish, you might have to repeat it, just the last few lines, please. Your audio had gone off.
I anticipated this.
So I actually got a second connection in. Am I audible now?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay, great. So, I was just saying that
you were sharing the numbers with us.
The reason why, so, the reason why senior living is said to be in the fledgling stage is because if you look at the population above 60, right, on a pan-India basis, it's about 105 million people. If you look at the urban population, it's about 50 million. Or maybe 42 million, if I remember correctly. And that is a segment which is also growing. So while the below 25 segment is growing, the population which is above 50 or above 60 is also growing. And that's a segment which we need to cater to as we speak. And the fact that, of course, all these developers are coming up with products which are tailor-made for varied sets of individuals, the demand for this space is actually increasing over time. And of course, we are nowhere near, some of the more established markets. It's a very, very small percentage that we are vis-a-vis, let's say, for example, America, which has a huge amount of rooms or beds more than what we see here in India. So I think America at last count was about 3.04 million as compared to 10 or 20,000, which we speak about in India.
Right. Thanks, Harish. Which actually, what you said brings me to an interesting point that I've been sort of thinking about ever since we've been talking about senior living. And I will address this next question to Dr. Gautam Das. Doctor, you know that the Indian society has moved from the joint family system to the nuclear family, if not entirely, but substantially. Over the last few decades. But there is still a very strong tradition and expectation that the children will look after their aging parents, either by having them come and live with them or having them come and live near them. So given this sort of strong traditional bias, which Harish mentioned as well, where, there was a stigma associated with if you have your children in comfortable circumstances, and then if you have to move into senior living, oh my God, what uncaring, cruel children are these? So that kind of stigma was there. Given this, what sort of psychological challenge do you see towards a smooth transition to the idea of senior living?
That's an interesting question. Now, before that, I really don't know how Peter picked on me for this webinar. I don't know whether he really knew, but for the last nearly 10 years, I have been struggling to promote the concept of integrated senior living community.
Perfect.
Now, why integrated? For the exact same reason that you just mentioned, that in India, we have a cultural issue. People do not want to leave their house. They don't want to leave their community. They want to have their friends. They want to have their temples. They want to have their familiar shopkeepers. And they feel that they are uprooting themselves if they are going to move into what was earlier called a home, which has now taken on a very adverse connotation. Home was supposed to mean a home away from home, but then the way the homes were managed has led to homes getting a very bad reputation. So that stigma still carries over. And then, of course, people started calling it a senior living community. But then, do the seniors really want to live away from it all? I think there is a big difference between the West and the East when it comes to seniors. People in the West, right from childhood, they are independent, they learn to be alone, and they know what it means to be alone and not have anybody to help them. They find it very difficult to find daily help. And so they have to fend for themselves fairly late into their lives. And so they know what it means not to have help. And therefore, they are ready to move into a senior community where there is help provided. But in India, we are used to having help all along, even from an upper middle class family. You find maids coming in to help. So our people are quite used to having help right throughout their lives. So they cannot even imagine a time without help. So they are not willing to move away. They feel that they can stay in their own house, familiar surroundings, get the help coming in, and so carry on living. And it's only when a COVID kind of situation hits them that they really realize the seriousness of the situation and the fact that they may not be getting help easily in the years to come, which is probably why we have seen the spurt in the senior living communities today. The second aspect is, do seniors really want to live alone in India? In the West, as I said, people are used to living by themselves, all alone, and so they don't mind the loneliness. In fact, there are people who go and live in forests, or they live away from the community right from a young age. They want it calm. It's a fairly socially, I should say, non-interactive community, especially in the US. Whereas we are a highly interactive culture. We want to have people to interact with. We love to have people to interact with. We love to have young people around us. We do not, have any resistance to it. We do not feel that people are intruding into our space. So this concept of space, the Western concept of space, is non-existent in India. So the Western communities want space. They want more to be alone, whereas our people don't want space. They want more people around them. So the senior living communities, as they are being promoted today as standalone, I think is not desirable when it comes to our senior citizens. Rather, I would think that it has to be an integrated living community. An integrated living community where you have the families in one segment of it, you have the seniors in another segment of it, you have assisted living care for those who need assistance in one segment of it, and there has to be a healthcare facility on site. Senior living communities till date, I'm not sure how Ashiana is dealing with it, but I know a lot of senior living communities who just pay lip service to health. They tie up with some hospital. There is no real coordination between the healthcare facility and the living community. And therefore, this becomes a major concern for the seniors who are worried about their healthcare and what kind of healthcare facilities they are going to have. Plus, it should be, when I say integrated, it has to be an integration between the construction industry, the hospitality industry, and the service industry.
Absolutely.
So it is not only an integration of society, but also an integration of industry. Because when on site, the person would like to have some recreation, some entertainment, a restaurant, or even a food court where they could go out, because they are used to all these kind of things in daily life. They're used to going out, having street food, or going out shopping. Our major relaxation in India is shopping, and I think we have to take that into consideration. Whereas in the West, the major relaxation is beaches, mountains, or resorts. Whereas in India, a major relaxation are malls. People want to go to malls not to shop, but just to relax, just to browse, just to spend time, meet people. Now that is what they miss when they go into the current concept of a senior living community, which is why I would rather say that it has to be an integrated living community, which integrates the youth, the seniors, assisted living facilities, and hospital, along with hospitality services, where all their needs are taken care of and they don't have to worry. So this is what I would like to say. And I don't know whether you want me to proceed or you want to give somebody else a chance to talk.
I will come back to you, Doctor. A lot of interesting points that you have thrown up, and we can revisit some of them as well as look at other aspects.
Can I give a
yes, of
different
course,
view?
Ankur, of course.
I love to, and I love that Dr. Gautam Da is there, and I love the fact that what he's bringing out is what we call ourselves, and I'm very proud of not just our senior living community, but the senior living done by the Association of Senior Living in a lot of our players around there. And I think Gautam Da, what he's talking about is generally what we're seeing as old age homes, and he's kind of mixing it up. And what he talked about in senior living, basically what in the US they call it is intergenerational senior living, is what he's talking about right now.
That's
and
right.
Intergenerational senior living is becoming popular in the US right now, but there is different places, different evolution has taken place in our projects. So we have so the first senior living we made it with villas, regular housing, and senior living together. And the idea was to make it an intergenerational, and we made the club as a central club. But what we realized was our seniors, and we're talking about India, and I don't agree with the Western and the Indian concept as much as I did my studies of the senior living communities in the West, and I've done development of over like about 17 years in India, and I don't see that much of a difference which he's talking about. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right, I don't know. What we saw was the seniors in that particular project did not want to interact with the youngsters, which we had provided. And we said, we want it as a concept like that. And they said, no, we want our age group. They understand us better, and we want to, play badminton with them, go for morning walk with them, go for food with them. We enjoyed that community a lot. And these were 600 seniors living in a particular, in a single community and doing a lot of activities. The whole idea, one of the challenges we are finding in India on senior living side or in regular when they're living in cities is that we like to do a lot of things, but our infrastructure does not allow it. If we are not easily, how do we go shopping very comfortably? How many people have drivers to take the car? How many people who can drive there? How many people can go to the nearest park? When they want to go shopping and pick up the heavy bags, is it comfortable to get them back home? How comfortable is it? And that's why we are seeing a huge amount of traction from these seniors where they need services and they're ready to pay for it. And shared services end up being a lot cheaper than if you were to hire a maid or a cook or a driver. Because it's shared, your transportation need is being shared by 100 people rather than one. So it allows for cost as well as quality of life and relationships being built. I'm in complete agreement with this idea of intergenerational. So in the Chennai project, we have some villas which was built by a developer friend of ours, and in that same project, we're doing senior living. There, we are seeing integration happening between the two groups. In certain projects, there will be some integrations, and certain projects, it won't be depending on the nature of the seniors sitting there. And different people will act differently. So I don't think we should we should, take one and kind of take paint the picture in a single manner. That's my thought on it.
Maybe, Ankur, what we're looking at is an evolution of the market where the customer can decide whether he wants to go into an integrated living project or one which gives him a complete, sort of distancing, and he interacts only with other senior citizens. And I think the market will evolve in that way.
Like Rishikesh and places like this have always been places which we go to to meet other seniors, to relax, to get some kind of a life. So and in the US, just to give you an idea, it's New York City would be one of the most densely populated city in the world.
Right.
The idea of densely population is to create a lot of connect with each other. And that's what the bars, the pubs, and the whole idea in the West is to do that, to create a lot of relationship with each other.
Yeah.
If you see economic slowdown in the West, the first thing which happens in an economic slowdown in the West is kids go back and move with their parents. As soon as economically they become richer, they move out. And that's basically the trend we are seeing in India now, which we like it or not is true.
Some of the Nordic Scandinavian countries have also experimented with the idea. Of course, over there is a lot of state-sponsored sort of senior living communities. But what they are experimenting with is which is something that the doctor hinted upon, where senior living communities come up right next to an orphanage, for example. So there is a very healthy sort of intermixing between generations. But as you said, Ankur, various patterns coming up. I will take.
Sorry, again, I'll give you an idea. We have a senior living now next to a school and a kid-centric home.
Right.
And getting the kids to come to our senior living where they teach kids with principles, values, and systems.
Yeah.
Then the seniors actually go to the school and perform different activities during their annual days.
Yeah.
So that is already happening. And I don't think we are just the only developers. You will see developers around India understanding intergenerational, understanding these projects very, very well, and doing a fantastic job on delivering high quality work on this.
Fantastic. Nice. Good to hear, Ankur. Good to hear. Prashant, if I may, I had a question for you. There are a lot of terms thrown about when we talk of the senior living market. You have assisted living, you have semi-assisted, you have independent, semi-assisted, and so on. Do you think you could clarify some of these terms a little bit and talk to us about how these various kinds of senior living projects are, coming up in India in sorts of, what is getting more priority over the other? Little bit of light on the market, please.
Sure. So before we take a dive in the kinds of senior assisted living that is prevalent in the country. I think first we need to understand that we are still at a very nascent stage of this market. We also need to understand that there's a huge mental shift that is happening and that is required for the acceptance of this market. You know, the nearest reference point for any layman or any senior citizen whose kids would say that, I'm thinking of buying a senior's home, or let's say assisted home. The first reference point for them would be, from a movie of, late 40 or 50s, which, talks about old age home. So still that mindset is there. But we also need to take into account how the demography of our nation is shifting. We are a nation of millennials right now. Obviously, as you rightly said, that we are a young population which eventually would age, but we also need to keep into account that this age group plans a lot. They are, a group of people who are kind of, planning everything, unlike our parents who were kind of, just taking up the first job that they got. It was more of a survival and kind of making a place for them. But this generation is making a lot of planning, and how do they plan their retirement is also one of the critical part of it. And when they are planning this retirement part, independency, the personal space, the healthcare, and how they will be active post retirement is also taking shape. So there's a lesson learned for the developer community like us, consultants like us, to pick up those signals from the customers, because this age group is kind of still evolving. We cannot have a product which was conceptualized, or let's say which was thought a couple of years back. So this is one point that I wanted to make before I take a plunge. Now, if we look at the Indian context, as I said, that the market is still evolving. Ankur would be a better person to throw light on this. But whatever I have seen, so right now there's a very, very thin demarcation between all those differentiation that you said. Because I'll tell you, my dad was very keen on buying a senior living home, and when we did some kind of inquiry, and exactly this concept came up. Do you want to have a assisted living? You want to have a senior living? So right now it is kind of blurred. So in this context, if you say that what Dr. Gautam Das said is that we need to come out with an integrated, let's say, project which caters to the need. Now, let's say if I fall into a bracket where my children are settled abroad and I need medical attention, I would definitely go for assisted living, because I need 24/7 help. But let's say if I'm thinking of early retirement, I want an active community around me. I don't want to see that gloom and doom everywhere. Then my requirement changes. So what I want to highlight is that this market is still evolving. It will be very, very fatal for us, or let's say for any stakeholder or developer, to clearly demarcate this market. I think it has to be built to suit. It's more of, I'll not call it as a real estate requirement. I would say it as a healthcare requirement. Or let's say, for example, nowadays you'll see that hotels customize your holiday package. Even hospitals, if you see nowadays, they customize your stay. I think this involved in that way. It cannot be a plain vanilla product that can be force fitted to certain age bracket. It has to evolve. So this is what I want, and unfortunately, we don't have a clear demarcation right now in India, at least.
I think Prashant, that's a very, very important point that you have brought up. As far as the integrated or intergenerational living is concerned. I'm not talking so much about intergenerational living as integrated living. Now, what do I mean by that? Exactly what you said, where you have all these facilities in one place. You have the senior living community, you have the assisted living facilities, and you have a healthcare facility. Plus you have, a regular community nearby where those who want to be by themselves will stay in the senior living community. They need not go out. So the senior living community gives them all the camaraderie that they need. But among those would be people who would like to interact with the younger generation. Now they have the opportunity of going out into the nearby regular living community where they can interact. Now, at some point of time, these seniors living in the community would require assisted living. So they can move into the assisted living facility. Some would require healthcare, where they would move to the healthcare living facility, and then they may require to be moved into the assisted living and back into the senior living. So it should be something which, happens in a very integrated, fluid manner, where do not feel that they are being stressed at any point of time. So the shift from senior to assisted to healthcare, back to assisted to senior, should be a smooth shift. That is one part of it. The second part of it is, while people talk of dementia as a healthcare problem in the elderly, very few people recognize that the major healthcare problem in the elderly is not dementia, but depression. And depression, not as loneliness. Somehow, people equate being old to being lonely. No. I know plenty of people who are 80 plus or even 90 who are very active and who are quite socially interactive. So it does not mean that when you become old, you become lonely. Loneliness or isolation is a sign of depression setting in. And depression today is a very well recognized factor. A senior onset depression is a very well known factor, for the simple reason that any mental disorder today we know has nothing to do with the mind. Of course, the mind is involved at some point of time, but then it has everything to do with the brain. The mind is a function of the brain, and the brain functions on neurochemistry. And any neurochemical imbalance or any disruption of neurochemistry, whether it is functional, meaning that it is due to any other disorder like diabetes or cardiac problem, which gives rise to any chemical problem in the brain, or any hormonal shift which gives a chemical problem in the brain, or it's a direct onset chemical problem in the brain, or it could be a damage caused by a neurological problem like a stroke, which gives rise to a chemical problem in the brain. All of this disrupts the cognitive function, and that is reflected by the mind. The mind is only a reflection of the function of the brain. So depression is very much a physical problem. The onset is in the brain due to either a neurological problem or a non-neurological neurochemical problem in the brain. So therefore, depression has to be identified, for the simple reason, unlike dementia, which is difficult to treat, depression is easily treatable.
Right.
It can be cleared up within a week or 10 days. With a small dose of medication and some amount of interactive activity, depression will lift within 2 weeks, and you will see a completely different person. So depression is something that has to be identified, which means that people have to be conscious of depression as a problem of senior living. And it has to be identified, and it has to be treated, and the facilities for treatment have to be there. Which is why I keep saying, there has to be a healthcare facility on site. Now, whether it's a full-fledged hospital, whether it's a senior outreach of any established hospital, that is to be seen. Now, Ankur, I'm not confused between homes and senior living. Okay, I know very well the difference, and I'm talking of not Ashiana, which, as you said, has an integrated approach. But I'm talking of those senior living communities which came up in the last few years, who tried to put senior living as a standalone. And unfortunately, I have invested in one. Okay, and we have a lot of problems there. So, I know very well what it means. And that is why I keep saying that an integrated living community is what is required. Integration of hospitality, healthcare, and service.
Dr. Gautam Das, I think you've, the last two speakers have said more or less the same thing about how it is an integration of various kinds of industries going into that. So I think we will ask Ankur. Ankur, when you start planning a senior living project, what are the primary aspects that a real estate developer focuses on when you come up with a new project for senior living? How do you integrate hospitality, healthcare, etc.?
So let me start with, I think we've done a bad job in marketing somehow. So what we have is what you call, what Dr. Gautam Das is calling it integrated communities. We call it continuing care retirement communities. Basically, we do have an assisted living on the ground, taking care of dementia customers with strokes and things like that. And we have consumers who've moved into our independent living, and now the husband is living in the independent living, the wife is living in our assisted living. In certain cases, both of them have shifted to our assisted living. Some of them are taking care at home because they're in the earlier stage of assistance. So that is part and parcel of our senior living. But taking that, the developer community, I think that is, we are the only ones who are doing a what I call a CCRC, continuing care retirement community right now. But developers have understood this well and are figuring out how to provide services at home at different stages. Okay, said that. And from a planning perspective, one of the biggest things we look at, and also, sorry, before I go on to the planning answer, I think the idea of depression is a very important decision. So one of the things we did was we did a research of quality of life study of people who live in our senior living community after about 8 years, and seniors who are living outside in Delhi. And we kind of did a simple quality of life survey, just a tick mark survey. And we found out that, you know, in our community, it's about 4x times people are happier in quality of life. It's 3.5 or 4x times better to live in a senior living community on from a quality of life standpoint of view. I said that. Now, from what we do from a planning and a development perspective, there are two parts. One is the design side and the second is the service side. Design side is developed in three parts of thinking. One, which is the simpler thing, which is the security side, the medical security and the physical security of people. So added on security services like emergency response systems in the flat, CCTV cameras and things like that. Second is this idea of social spaces. We design our spaces in three different areas. One is private spaces, semi-public and public spaces. So all our spaces need to be making sure that we have, you know, if a senior wants to just read a book, should have a space for that. Wants to chit chat for 10 people, he should have a space for that. And if they want to do a performance for 300 people, they should have a space for that. So the thinking is that, you know, you design spaces to get different kinds of seniors their daily dose of happiness. Third piece is this idea of independence. We all want to be independent for longer. And this idea is that, you know, we don't want somebody to help us. So how do we give assistive technology around, from the lift, from grab rails to wheelchair accessibilities to, you know, how to make it simple that they don't need assistance at their homes as long as they can. So we provide that in the design. Secondly, on the services side, it's all about how do we bring more and more people who are of like-mindedness together. So if people like photography, how do we get them together? If they like dining and fooding, how do we get them together? If they like singing, how do we get them together? If they like religious activities in the temple, how do we get them together? So the designing and the activities are designed such that the quality of life of a senior is better for longer.
So Ankur, that's what I call activity-based care.
Oh, thanks. So we're on the same page.
I think we are on the same page all along, you know.
Perfect.
Yeah, you know, I just want to highlight, you know, when we say, or rather when we talk. Sorry, can you guys hear me?
Hello, yes.
Yeah, so sorry. You know, when we talk about the industry and, you know, it being nascent in structure vis-a-vis some of the international markets, this is exactly what we're talking about, you know, where expectations are very different from different segments of the community. So some people will want integrated living, some people will want specialized care. I think the movement which we will see is, you know, as and when you have more operators, more developers, and more supply coming in, each of these segments will get catered to, and that is the general direction in which any segment proceeds, right? So
Right.
when it starts, it's about being you know, fairly sorry, just one second. So when it starts, is about being fairly nascent, and where it addresses only the basic needs of people. And as and when it expands, you get developments which cater to all the specialized needs as well. And that's when you reach a mature market. So you're not only addressing the needs of a special few, but you're addressing the needs of the larger pie, right? So if you look at in the Indian context, generally, if I talk about senior living, it's broadly categorized into three segments, which is your independent living, but with all the facilities or all the amenities which a senior would want, right? So that is built into those facilities. That's a senior living facility. Assisted living is where you have additionally someone coming in and taking care of either food or housekeeping or reminding you to eat your medicines, stuff like that, right? So that's where some external support is needed, where which is why it's called assisted living facility. The minute it moves to a more specialized care, which means where you have nursing involvement, then you call it a nursing facility, right? Or a senior living or a continuous care facility, like Ankur was speaking about. So there is a need for, and of course, there are variations within this. Integrated might have either independent or assisted coming in together. Memory care might have parts of assisted and your nursing care coming in together. So it just depends on the need and the kind of development which a developer undertakes. But all of these facilities are now coming into India, and I think that's what's the most important thing. Yes, it is expensive. The minute you talk about nursing care, obviously you talk, you're getting someone to assist you who has skills, who's specialized. So the cost goes up significantly on a month-on-month basis.
Right.
But if you want those kind of services, then obviously it will become expensive.
Harish, we're talking about not just a building. It's not just a real estate guy putting up a building. We are now talking about a certain kind of care continuum, right? How well do you think the real estate industry in India, as it is today, geared to provide this in terms of quality, in terms of service, all of everything that our previous panelists have spoken of? Speaks to a very high attention being paid to the kind of grab rails you have, to the kind of tiles you're going to put in, to the finished quality of your cabinets and woodwork, to the finish and to the service that people are going to be giving it. I don't think the most sectors of India are not geared towards service and high quality. How do you think the real estate industry is going to match this challenge, meet this challenge?
So just one corollary there to your question. Today, even the new buildings which come up do not have, ease of access. This is something I've not understood. Maybe the panelists here can shed light on why architects insist on aesthetics to the exclusion of accessibility. There are levels, there are uneven pavings, there are no handholds on stairs, things like that.
Harish, you want to take up a little bit of that question?
I'm talking of the construction industry in general, not the senior facilities.
Happy to address both, Vaishna. So, as far as the quality of developments itself is concerned, that's something which we've seen changing over time. For developers who are further up in the learning scale, for them it's a whole lot easier, right? And I take the examples of Ashiana Group or Kovai or Paranjpe. These are developers who have executed senior living developments in the market, and with each development you learn what you need to improve on. And that's pretty much the same philosophy which applies, Dr. Gautam Das, on accessibility, right? So if you want ease of living or better standards as far as living quality is concerned, then as you do more developments, you realize, okay, what are the lacunas which were there? See, today, if you hire the best of architects, if you hire the best of consultants, you will get probably the best product. But the minute you get the best consultant, the minute you get the best architect and the best development, it also costs similarly. Right? So to take an example, Antara Senior Living in Dehradun it's a fantastic property, right? So it's more of nursing care than anything. Support from Max Hospital for running the entire show there. However, because it's done, according to a certain specification, it's got certain services. It's also very, very expensive. So the minute you're willing to pay for that service, then that becomes available to you. I think that the difference is that because it's a largely unregulated market, which is expected, right? And of course, you have a lot of first-time players coming in. So the difference in expectation or quality is something which will always be there.
Right.
The minute it becomes a more mature market, that's when we will see all these getting standardized and it becoming more acceptable to people in general.
Right. Prashant, I have one question for you. There is a marked skew in the way the senior living industry sector has developed in India, with a lot more facilities in the south of India rather than the north. Can you explain this anomaly to us?
Sure. So first of all, I'd like to correct that, in India, still this market is not developed.
Right.
So you're right, the majority of the projects have come in south. We also need to understand the demography of our country. So if you look at the southern part compared to east and north, the kids were kind of highly mobile. They went abroad for studies. People were they're educated, and then initially the land parcels were available, so it sprang up over there. So that's the reason you see the southern part is kind of more adoptable to that concept, because of the higher education level, the upward mobile population happening, education level, and also income level also depends on that. So this is one part. But before Vaishna, I answer, I move to the other part. I would like to bring to the notice of our panel. I think we have been missing one part right now. That if we look at the way the senior living market is evolving in India, it's kind of it's not kind of in a very organized way it's happening right now. If you look at the way the general housing market in India has behaved, and we see there's a lot of heartburn in terms of construction delay, possession not happening. So this also kind of draws a parallel. Let's say that it also draws a learning for how this market should be evolved. Do we want to develop this market only for a niche segment for people who can afford it? Or let's say we as a stakeholder, we identify that this is a real need for the Indian society right now. India is a young population, obviously it will age, the life expectancy has definitely gone up. How do we plan for the later part of our life? Because if we see the development that is happening right now, it's kind of more niche. It's you cannot call it as affordable senior living housing. So the idea is that if we are sitting at a stage where we are looking at a huge upside, or let's say growth potential of this market, how do we plan that this market progresses in an affordable manner that every senior citizen can think of? Buying a senior citizen assisted or whatever we call, rather than it remains within the reach of few well-to-do HNI kind of people who buy a senior living home in Dehradun, or let's say some kind of hill station.
That's right. Yeah.
So I think that the focus should be more on the people who are planning, for renowned developers who are taking up this segment very seriously, and it has to be a very focused approach. It cannot happen that one developer is running multiple projects and one of the project happens to be senior citizen or assisted living. It is a very specialized asset class which requires a lot of passion, planning, and then a long-term gestation period. And at the end of that, you see that product delivered. So we need to divert all our conversation around whenever we're having this, or let's say any subsequent panel discussion that we might have. I think this point needs to be highlighted, that how we want to cultivate this market. Do we want to kind of make it accessible only for selective few senior citizens, or it has to be developed as an affordable product? The way we have started to see affordable housing in general housing segment. So this is a big question before we even we start to debate what are the different kinds of market that is evolving, what is the size, because these are still evolving. We are still kind of learning what is required. What does the senior citizen need? I don't think even he's clear about his requirement. He's still in that phase where the developer, or let's say, the operators are enticing him with few good opportunities or options, which might be very useful, but he's still in a deciding mode. We need to kind of really help him understand. We need to understand his need and then provide a product.
Right.
But Harish, wouldn't you agree that the government has a role to play here, which right now it is not? In the West, senior living has caught on in a big way because mainly the government stepped in, and the government welfare programs also have senior assisted and living facilities built in. For example, in Britain, senior living and assisted living is part of NHS. And in the US, insurance covers a lot of the senior living facilities. Whereas here, the citizens are having to fend for themselves, which is why we are having this situation where only the higher net worth individuals are able to afford it. So unless and until the government steps in and brings in, just like they've done for affordable housing, they bring in affordable senior living communities, and they promote it, and they give some facilities to the builders and developers and the service providers. They give some benefits. I don't think this is going to happen.
Does anybody want to comment on that, or should we go on to the question and answer session? We've got a lot of questions coming in.
I have quite a few thoughts on this. Sorry.
Sure, please.
Personally, I believe first, I know the senior living community very closely because I'm dealing with them regularly and the people who provide it. And one of the things I love about Association of Senior Living India, where obviously we're doing it to promote ourselves, but I want to say that there's a lot of people doing great work around. And you should see the kind of knowledge they have about the US markets or the UK markets. They can talk about lighting in a particular flat. They can talk about things which are very, very different. And I am very proud of that fact. And the kind of work we're doing together is exceptional. Personally, obviously, Ashiana, we have always, we've been old, we've been evolving, and there's a lot of work we have done on it. Secondly, like Antara, one of the things I don't want to confuse, one of the things we confuse medical and senior living together, and they're not together. Max is doing it. Antara is a completely independent living senior community, which does a fantastic job on, the kind of quality of work they do inside, the kind of staff they have. The cost is because of the quality of staff and service and the infrastructure they're building in. And in the senior living space right now, obviously the affordable housing is a very, very difficult side, and it needs government support. It needs, CSR money. It needs different kinds of money to get there. But if you look at the largest offering in the country today is in the range of 25 to 70 lakhs, which kind of caters to the lower middle income to the upper middle income. And that's where the largest market for seniors lie.
Right.
And that's what the senior living side is doing. And I'm truly amazed with the kind of, I know senior care developers who've helped seniors of different kinds at different points of time who are not even their customers. And that is something we take pride in. Okay, at Ashiana also, we've done a lot of work, and I'm very, very excited about the kind of work we are doing. There were seniors in our projects who, some friend of his wrote to this customer in Chennai saying that, did you know COVID was coming? That's why you chose Ashiana beforehand. Because, the kind of quality of life he was talking about during COVID times on his Facebook was far superior than anybody getting in the city. And that's something we should be very clear and understanding that product very well. I'm sorry, I'm very passionate about it, so I get defensive also. But the idea is that there is a lot of great quality work happening, and we should be recognizing that more and more often. And I tell a lot of you viewers, please go to the Facebook page of any of us developers. Check out the page, check out the kind of comments we are getting. We obviously will get some negative comments, but largely it's positive, and that's the great strength of it.
Lovely. Thanks, Ankur. I think I'll take that as a cue to go on to the questions. We don't have much time left, so let's move on to questions which are coming in. I will ask a question first, which I think ties in with some of what you spoke of, Ankur, just now. I have Mandadi Saradi here, who's asking, what is the cost structure? What is your business model? Is it proper only by a profit motive? And what is the exit option for senior citizens?
Okay, so independent living and assisted living run separately. Independent living is a buy model like a flat, like any flat you would buy, and exit it the same way. You can sell it or rent it. Okay, so in our independent living, which we've sold 600 units in Bhiwadi, which is Delhi. I think about 100 units, 100 people would have exited making a profit. So they would exit like any other, and they pay a maintenance charge, and it is on profit. One of the things we say is that you look at what is not for profit and for profit, you see the difference in the quality. It depends on what you want. If you want quality of services, generally finance drives people differently to get different quality done on ground. That's the general statement. There are projects which are going to be NGOs which are going to be doing good work, but we are a for-profit organization. We make money on the real estate side and then on the managing side of it. Secondly, on the assisted living, that's on a rental model where we take a deposit and we charge a rent per month on the services we give, and that's how it is divided.
Selva Govindaraju is asking something that was mentioned earlier. He says, what is the government support for builders who provide houses for elders?
There is no support of scene right now for government. Government has a bigger, so they have come up with the SCG has come up with some schemes for children to take care of their parents and things like that, and they're talking about creating old age homes as well as daycare centers. But as a government, they have not done anything here. If there were one or two lands for old age homes, they have given at a lower price. I'm not aware of it, but whatever I know of the developer community, I don't think anybody has gotten any kind of subsidy from the government of getting into senior living.
If I might add a question to this, Ankur, there is a lot of massive pileup of unsold inventory in the industry today. Is it at all feasible that some sort of integrated living models could be built upon these?
There's huge amounts of inventory which will shift to senior living because the demand is shifting to senior living. We've been seeing, so for us, we're looking at adding 3 more projects in this year, acquiring 3 more projects of senior living with different developers who are in these projects. And I know other developer friends who've tied up with other people who are not able to sell their thing for senior living perspective.
I have a question here for Dr. Gautam Das. It is from Sri Kumar. How do you view senior community from a perspective of freedom of cooking? I have interviewed many people in retirement communities, and one of the things the women miss, and the men too, is cooking. And this makes them very unhappy. Most communities do not provide a kitchenette. And the second part of this question is, are people comfortable moving from a 700 feet to a 700 square feet space from the larger spaces that they might have been used to? Doctor?
Yeah, I think these are 2 very good questions. I already talked earlier about shopping being the pastime in India. And of course, cooking is the other pastime. Yes, I think a kitchenette probably may be a requirement in a senior living facility, but then again it's all depends on the price that you pay. The space that you occupy depends on the price you pay. The more you're willing to pay, the greater the space and the more the facilities you have in your space. That's how the developers design them. So when you're price sensitive, you go in for a smaller space, then you have to make do with what you get. Whether you are looking at moving from a 700 or a 1,200 square foot house to a smaller room, it all depends on the mind. If you're looking on the entire community as your home, then that room would not matter, because your living room would be the common room where everybody gets together. Your kitchen and your dining room would be the cafeteria or the restaurant where everybody gets together. And the room which you're living is only your bedroom. If that's the way you look at it, then everything is fine. But then if you're looking at that small space as your entire home and you want to pack it with your things, then it becomes a problem.
Right, thanks.
I
There
have,
are
a,
two.
I have an interesting thought which one customer taught me, and this was North India more. They said the wife told me, like, thank God you gave me a kitchen. I control my husband through my food. So never take my kitchen away from me. So one of the things we have done is provided kitchen everywhere.
Right. My mother said, take me to some place which make sure that I don't have to cook anymore. So, so various kinds of things. I have two interesting questions here which are related. So I will just read them out quickly. One is from Maria Fatima Paez. She asks about lease rent properties for single seniors who are a big and growing segment of society today. Is it advisable for them to consider outright buying, but they don't have too much money? And should they instead, go in for other kinds of options? And a related question here is another very interesting aspect that I had not come across before. She says, hi, my name is Nishi. I'm the founder of a senior singles group, 50 to 65 years old, called Joy. We have 90 members. We are looking to move in as a group into a retirement community in the north or the south. My question for Ankur, what projects should I be looking at?
Oh, wow. So that's a lot of customers. So first, you can, depending, we have projects both in North and South, depending on what your affordability is and this thing, but the price points are very similar. One we have in Ashana Nirme in Bhiwadi near Delhi and Ashana Shubham near Chennai, either of those two options, and we can talk separately. You can just get in touch with us and we will figure that out for you separately. I'm on a Facebook. You can just type Ankur Gupta, the guy on the suit. You can just friend me and message me on that. On the front of singles looking at buying or renting, the problem with the development is the rental returns to a developer is very, very low because of the interest rate. So it doesn't make any sense for us to rent. We take money at 12, 14, 16%. For us, it's about 12%, and rental yields are at 4, 5%. So it makes no sense for us to rent. If you want to move to our senior living project, you can get rentals from other buyers of the project who might be looking at moving after 5, 10 years, people who bought in their 50s and looking at moving later. The only challenge in that is when they want to move in, then you'll have to actually change houses. So my suggestion is to buy into it. Affordability for a Chennai project will start at around 25 or 20, so 28 lakhs going up to about 70 lakhs. In Nirme will be about 35 lakhs to about 70 lakhs. So depending on your budget and our availability, you can look at that as an option.
Ankur, I have a question here at this point. At some time ago, people were talking of reverse mortgages. Now, has the reverse mortgage service matured enough for people to reverse mortgage their property and get into a senior property?
Not yet. Only a couple of deals like that I've heard has happened. The challenge, the thing is, there's two challenges. One, basically they're saying that you have to live in the same house you reverse mortgage. So that takes away the idea of taking that money and buying another house. They only give you a very little upfront, and the clarity from states are not there on stamp duty charges. They think it's going to be like a sale deed, and then there is going to be stamp duty charges, which makes this thing financially not very successful. So those are the challenges. As Asli, we are talking to the government, trying to tell them that you need to make this rules a little more nicer and simpler for people to move to use reverse mortgage for the same.
Thanks, Ankur. I have a question for Harish here. Harish, the question from Kush Parekh. Which cities do you see the greatest demand coming in from, and where do you see biggest potential for this segment? Which cities do you see the biggest potential? Can you hear me, Harish?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hope I'm audible. See, if you ask me which of the cities traditionally we've seen higher level of interest in the south markets and maybe also the west markets, So Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Uttar Pradesh, West Bengal, Andhra Pradesh, these are all locations, where there are enough senior living developments and enough people to be able to justify entering into the segment. But having said that, again, if you look at elderly population and if you look at ability to pay, that's pretty much anywhere in the country, right? So if you obviously you have to get a lot of things right in terms of where you're setting up, what price you're entering into the market, what kind of facility you're providing. People who've done enough research on this and enough study on this aspect, they will be able to provide this in a much easier fashion. So the opportunity is there across the country, but yes, the country or the states which have higher populations of old age and a propensity. So there's something called the independency factor which we look at. So which are the states where elders are more dependent on their children, and again, it turns out that a lot of the west states, a lot of the southern states, you have that phenomena coming in. So those are the places where people do tend to take up senior living facilities more often, and that's the reason why we've seen that model work very well there. But that is not to exclude any north markets by saying that there is no potential or no opportunity. I think Ankur has shown very well through the first development which we saw in the space in Bhiwadi, where it can be successful provided obviously you get a lot of the metrics right, in terms of the pricing, in terms of the product, etc. So yes, to answer the question, it will be largely locations which are in the south, but that does not exclude locations in the north, provided you get the product itself right.
Push Parekh has another question, this time for Prashant. Prashant, he wants to know who are the biggest players who are making bets in this sector?
Can you repeat the question?
Who are investing, I think he's trying to say. Who are the biggest players making bets in this sector? He says, I guess what he means is, who are the biggest players looking at investing in this sector?
So, as of now, post-COVID, I think the investment scenario in this the real estate sector is quite depressed right now. And before COVID-19, there were a good amount of bets being taken into some kind of alternate asset class, be it co-living, co-working kind of space. We are yet to see some big significant move or let's say investment being made towards senior living, because everybody is trying, waiting for this market to mature. I think this market has potential, but still people are waiting for this market to kind of, shows some sign of acceptance is there, no doubt about it. But they want, a first round of validation before they start to put in some kind of money. There's a lot of money that is waiting for to enter India, especially to find its way in some kind of rent yielding asset. So I think if the way COVID has highlighted the huge vacuum in this managed and assisted care for senior citizens, be it in any format, I think people have taken notice of it. And I think in next 3, 4, 5 years when things start to pan out, because right now there's a lot of noise that is still there on the residential side of it in terms of tech investment, construction delay, and that's the reason people are a bit skeptical. But having said that, there is a lot of money that is waiting to enter these alternate asset class, and we will have to kind of still wait for another 4, 5 years for things to pan out.
Right. Thanks, Prashant. Ankur, we come back to you with a couple of questions here. One from P.S. Ramachandran, who says, Ankur, why should there be subsidy when the cost is 3 times an ordinary housing project?
There shouldn't be any subsidy, first and foremost. I don't think we need subsidy. I think that somebody asked, is there a subsidy? I said there is no subsidy. So, and I don't think we are wanting to get subsidy in this area at all, first and foremost. So that kind of answers that question in a way.
If I might
charge 3 times of it, that would be nice day, but right now we're not.
Okay, but if I could just add on to that question, Ankur, not subsidy, but as one of our panelists mentioned earlier, do you think the government should lend a helping hand? We don't want a certain quality of senior living to be available only to those who can afford it, only to the top end of the market, do we?
And completely agree, and we need to keep evolving in that area. So government has, I think, will and has to kind of step in, and there is some stepping in with HelpAge. I understand they're doing in Delhi, they've done some things, but the challenge, I might, you might call me a little more understanding. I think the challenge the government with the financial crisis right now is far large, and we don't know what to work on.
Yeah.
So right now, I don't know if this is going to be their priority. So as private companies also, we'll have to find some solutions. Rental models will at yields of 2, 3, 4% of rental. So you can get a senior living which at 8,000 of rental, I think starts making a lot of sense if they can't own it. So they will have to look at those opportunities. I know a senior citizen who lived in one of our senior living, renting a 1 bedroom at around 12,000 rupees a month with taking all services of ours.
Fantastic.
Right. So there is capability of that, but it is a difficult area. I don't know how to answer that.
Right. Manoj Mittal asks, can companies like Ashiana create models in collaboration similar to student living in the 300, 400 plots in the localities where people own their property and want to live in the same locality? I am not quite sure what the question means. Can you figure it out, Ankur?
There's two parts. What I understand is they're saying senior living in the center cities. They're going to be coming, but rental models are going to be very difficult. In the student housing, the 300, 400 square feet, I don't know how much time, as a senior, we want to live in that kind of a lifestyle of a 300, 400 square feet. I don't think it's quality of life. So one of the questions which I ask seniors is, they ask, I don't need much. I want to move to a 1 bedroom. I ask them, what is the size you're living in today? If you're looking at 2,500 square feet of flat you're living today, and you want to move to a 600 square feet, you will not enjoy your lifestyle. It has a correlation of what your past is. So if I just do a student housing and you used to a larger space next door, you won't like my housing. Space, we like space. We pay for space. It shows richness. It shows, quality of life. All of it is defined by space. So, as much as I want to be, saying that all the good things, but the truth of the matter is, as individuals, we understand space well. And to me, senior living will come into cities. We won't be the person because we understand suburban development. We do high quality, very large spread. So like our Chennai project has 8 acres of park when it will be finished. 4 acres of park is ready. Now that kind of lifestyle I can't create in the city. You have to go outside.
But you do agree, Ankur, that there is a definite maybe market or taker for that sort of, project in the heart of the city, which will sort of solve what the doctor spoke of, where you're right in the middle of the city, even though you're in a senior accommodation.
And I think it'll come sooner than later. That's my feeling.
Right. Thanks. To go on to Shubham Kumar, what are your thoughts on the overall concept of the lease model, say for 10 years for senior living communities, in which they won't have to take on the burden of owning an asset?
I think I would like to answer that because a lease model for 10 years, you have to think of where you're going to be 10 years down the line.
Right. I
think that's very important.
So we and Gautam, that's very, very good. So what we have done in Lavasa, in one of our projects, is what we call a lifetime lease. So you buy into that project and your capital is safe. We will return that capital at the end of whenever you want it in the middle.
And if I'm not mistaken, you return it even to the heir, right? To the legal heir.
You'll return it to the heir also.
Yeah, right.
That is capable. We are only doing it on one project in Lavasa. There are other developers who've done this.
That's right. I have a couple of more questions we can take in a few minutes that we have left. Someone called Gopalan Chandramouli. Ankur, he has a bit of a complaint. Any plans of Ashiana coming up with a better medical facility in Shubham, as at present, the nearest facility is 7 kilometers away?
So to me, the assisted living is going to come. That's in part planned in phase 4. So we are going to be launching phase 4 because of the COVID. Our construction got delayed. I think November, December, we'll start launching it, and we will have the assisted living facility ready there. And truly speaking, if you take my opinion, 7 kilometers is not far. Any emergencies, we've been able to handle it. We have tie-ups with them. They do come. We always want everything on the doorstep. We've tried it in the past in other projects to get it on the doorstep. It becomes very expensive, and then the challenge of cost starts coming in. So if there is not enough model of a hospital to survive, then the hospitals don't make sense. Except that the assisted living is part of the phase 4 and we'll start construction in November, December. Take a couple of months from there.
I have a question here, which any of the panelists, please feel free to respond. It's from Dr. Muttaya Ramakrishnan, and he says, how do we address the fact that the question that arises from the social and cultural diversities of senior citizens? They're not from a single social cultural group, and then they have to live together in one community. How do you address that? Does any one of you want to take a look at that question?
I think I would like to start off, somebody can take it on. It is quite a challenge, I think, because again, it depends on mindsets, and mindsets in India are still too set for people from different, I will be more specific, different religious communities getting together and different castes getting together. Let's not skirt around the issue and be very nice about it. These are real life issues, and I have seen this happen in not senior communities, but I have seen it even happening in communities where people don't want people from other religions, for example, people from other diet preferences, people who are vegetarian don't want non-vegetarians there and things like that. But I think it also depends on how the particular project is designed. And I would like the others to take that call.
For me, I think it's very important if you can get cross-religion people, cross-cultural people. One of the things we take pride in our projects is our customers call it mini India, and basically the idea is it has got cross cultures, but it does have its challenges on the food. So the good thing is cross-cultural is good. The challenge becomes on food deliveries, because if cross-cultural, if you're looking at a canteen to run, and you get a lot of different taste buds, that's one challenge. So when you choose your community, get your taste buds correct. If you're going to be eating at the canteen, you do have a kitchen option. So I think that's an important decision maker. I wouldn't take it lightly.
I'll add on another question from Rohit Bansal here for you, Ankur, which says, what are the safety and security precautions that are available, measures which are available at these senior living facilities?
First, I love the seniors themselves. They are the most, they keep us on our toes because they want safety so much. They drive our security guard. They will have a 12 o'clock check. That security guard was not on his toes that time. And that's the strength of the community itself. So I really appreciate that themselves. Other than that, what we have is what we call a single gated community. Basically entries of checks through softwares and CCTV cameras and visitors check at the entry. So what my personal opinion is, if the entry and exits are highly checked, then your security levels are very high. So we, in the last 17 years, I think one case has happened in a senior living project, and that was a very small case. One of our own security guards had a situation which we kind of but largely speaking, it's very, very safe because of the community itself and the added services we give on. So we have an emergency response system, we have CCTV cameras, we have visitor check at the level, we have maid checks, we have all the vendors are checked and given. All the people are all of the people who work with us, they're police verified, things like that. So it's great to see the kind of security is built into these senior living projects.
Absolutely. One last question I think that we have time for, and that is, what has the impact of COVID been in terms of project completion at Ashiana?
So we different projects have acted differently because of local labors. We were one of the only projects people who not only gave food to our laborers, we actually paid them wages for not working during COVID also. So we took care of our laborers very well. So luckily, most of our projects, people stayed. But Chennai, we had a little bit of a challenge, and that is, I think, getting delayed by a month. So we were supposed to deliver in July, I think August. Every other project will be delayed by about a month and a half to about 2.5 months, if nothing new happens. If anything, supply side gets, there's a lot of problems with supply side also coming to our side. So we're managing a lot of things, and luckily we have a great team and we've been able to manage it well. But we'll see challenges. Right now, it's very difficult to say the exact dates.
Right. Are there any closing remarks that any of our panelists would like to make before we bring the webinar to an end? Anything, Prashant, Harish? Words of wisdom?
Nothing from my end, Vaishnav.
Right. Prashant, is there something you'd like to say in terms of what you see for the industry, what you predict going ahead?
I think, this is one of the most important asset class that has emerged from other that we have seen, like co-living and co-working. My only stress in all of my interaction earlier have been that this asset class is still at a very nascent stage, and it has to be developed with a lot of care and nurture, which obviously Ankur, he sounds very passionate. I saw him the way he speaks. I think we need players who understand the senior citizens and their need. It's kind of not a force-fitted model, but it has to evolve naturally the way the demand from the seniors are. So I think a long way to go. I think there will be not many players coming in, not many investment that will flow in from the PE world. And yeah, I think we're at an exciting phase. Let's see how this COVID-19 kind of works for this asset class.
Yes. COVID-19 is proving to be the joker in the pack.
Yeah.
But while it is a joker in the pack, I think it's also gone a long way in positively influencing the mindsets of people as far as senior living is concerned. So I think that's a huge positive, as far as this disease is concerned.
Yes.
Obviously, there are challenges. I think Ankur and Dr. Gautam Das, highlighted a lot of those. But once we overcome those challenges, I'm sure these times would help in alleviating a lot of concerns which people have, or stigmas which people have towards this segment. And that's something which will be very, very useful for this. And that's the reason why we've also seen an increased interest, from investors, from developers for this segment.
That's right.
Primarily because, the end users themselves have actually accepted and shown increased interest as far as senior living is concerned.
Yeah. The pandemic has actually played a big role in wiping out the cultural, social sort of, barriers to senior living. I hope we go along that way. Ankur, would you like to end with, say, a couple of lines?
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for joining us. And I love a nice debate on different thoughts. And I thought that was very good. And thank you for all the participants. We have 190 questions. I would request to send these questions out to us. I would love to answer them if I can. I love this topic and I love this space. And it's great to see the kind of participation we've had. Thank you so much for the time you guys have given us.
Thank you to all the participants. It's been a pleasure talking with you. It's been a very informative session, and I'm happy to have had you on board. Lovely, interesting questions, interesting thoughts. I hope we can get together again. Thank you so much from The Hindu.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Vaishnav, for your wonderful efforts.
Thank you. Bye.
Hi everybody, my name is Ramki and this is my charming wife Lata. We are sitting here relaxed at Ashiana Shubham, enjoying the serene surroundings. We made a number of very good decisions in our life, but one of the most important and best decisions we have made is to shift to Ashiana Shubham.
Because it is specially for the senior citizens. It is very, very exceedingly meticulously, highly professionally planned design.
A lot of facilities are there in Ashiana. There is sports, there is swimming, there is tennis, so host of activities. So we said that makes us active in our in our life after retirement as well.
I'm also very conscious about my health, and of course also the healthy food that we are getting at the cafe here.
Come enjoy the beauty of Ashiana Shubham.
We need to also enjoy life as we become senior. If you do it earlier in life, say in the 45 to 50 age bracket, then you don't have the pressure, you have a good investment. Sooner we invest, I think better we enjoy, better we understand life.
If we want to live a peaceful life, happy life, I'll tell you, all of you look for a senior citizen home.